everyone, welcome back. I'm Di, and today I am bringing you a new kind of first impressions video a little bit. So if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I have over the last couple years been hosting a manga book club in real life. I was asked to start a manga book club at my local Barnes & Noble, and so prior to everything shutting down, we were meeting in person once a month to discuss first in a series mangas. And because of everything that happened, we had to stop meeting last year, but we have recently, and I mean just recently, like yesterday, as of the day I am filming this, met for the first time again. And so I thought that since I am doing this and we'll be talking about the mangas that we read in the manga club at the Barnes & Noble, I would bring it to my platform and see if any of you would be interested in also reading these selections with me during the month and kind of discussing it down in the comment section. So I am not going to be using the manga club name that we use in the bookstore, because obviously that's affiliated with Barnes & Noble, or at least that store. And so to kind of separate from that, I have named the manga club for my channel the Monochrome Manga Club. So yeah, I thought it might be fun to kind of separate these selections out and talk about them with other people. So if you're interested in reading along with me, I will be announcing the August selections at the end of this video. But for right now, I just want to give you my first impressions of the selections we have read for July. And those are the first volume of the Apothecary Diaries by Natsu Hyuga, art by Neko Kurage, compiled by Itsuki Nanao, character design by Toko Shino. This one is published by Square Enix and is rated teen. And then the other volume we read was The Land of the Lustrous by Haruko Ichikawa. This one is published by Kodansha, rated teen as well. And so for the manga club, we only read the first volumes of each series. So try not to be spoilery down in the comments below. That's the only thing that I ask. But I will talk about my thoughts on these two volumes first, and then let you know what we'll be reading for August. So first up is the Apothecary Diaries, and in this one, the tagline in the back says, "The great detective of the inner palace is born." And so we follow a character named Mao Mao, and that is our character here on the front cover. She is kidnapped right off the bat in the beginning of this volume. She is pretty educated in the apothecary arts, but the people who kidnap her, I don't believe really know that. They're just looking for some easy money. So basically they kidnap her and get her into this palace as a servant, and for all of the work that she does, her pay goes to her kidnappers, which that's terrible. But she has been kind of keeping her head low because she doesn't want people to know that she has certain abilities like reading. A lot of the servants at the palace can't read, but somebody at the palace recognizes her abilities, and after confirming his suspicions, he enlists Mao Mao to become a palace taster. So she basically gets a promotion, and her job becomes tasting the foods of two particular concubines in the palace for poison. This ends up happening because there's something going on with these concubines, and the people in the palace can't really figure it out, other than to think that maybe that they're being poisoned. And so we follow Mao Mao trying to figure out what's going on with these two concubines and why their health is deteriorating, and some other things. Like, she literally kind of becomes a detective. And so in this volume we go through, I believe it's about 2.5 mysteries that Mao Mao gets involved with. And I found this volume to be very interesting. If you have followed my channel for a while, or if you watched any of my booktube videos, you know that a lot of the novels that I read are mysteries. I'm very into reading things that are mystery based. I'm very into watching things that are mystery based. And so this one really was right down my alley. The mysteries in this particular volume are figured out relatively quickly. I mean, obviously the size of this volume is not very big, so the mysteries were pretty quick ones to solve. But there is one at the end of this volume that will carry over to the next one. And I'm kind of hoping to see a little bit more involvement, something a little bit more complicated in future volumes as far as the mystery elements go. I think this volume did a really good job at introducing us to not only Mao Mao, but the things that she can do and kind of the flavor of this series going forward. There is a few things in regards to the person who has recognized her abilities in the palace. He's definitely up to something. I'm not quite sure what. I believe his name is Jinshi. I'm not quite sure what he's up to. I'm not even sure what his relationship is to people in the palace, or what his station in the palace is. But I'm curious to know what he's up to and why he's enlisting the services of Mao Mao. Why he brought Mao Mao to the attention of people in the palace, and what his whole point of having Mao Mao do the things that he asked her to do in this volume are. So this is definitely one that I will be continuing. I really enjoyed the art style. Mao Mao as a character is very quirky, and there are times where she gets a little bit comedic, and some of the things that happen in here are a bit comedic as well. And so I really enjoyed the mystery elements in conjunction with those comedy panels, and the way that Mao Mao is drawn in sleuthing mode as opposed to being comedic and quirky, I really enjoy as well. There are elements to Mao Mao's character that I'm very curious about, like how she got into the apothecary arts. We get a little bit of backstory into how she got as good as she is, but I still kind of want more in regards to her backstory, as well as maybe things that she was up to before she got kidnapped. Does she have a family that's looking for her and things like that? But I really enjoyed this volume, and I'll definitely be continuing to the next one. I do already have the next one, I just haven't read it yet because, as I mentioned, we do only read the first books in the series, so I didn't want to get into spoilery territory when talking about this one with my members. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. So the next volume that we read was The Land of the Lustrous, Volume 1. And in this one, we're following a group of beings who are basically, it says crystalline life forms, and I like to think of them more as gemstone beings, because literally that's what they are. And they're in this world where they're constantly fighting these invaders called Lunarians. And the Lunarians basically come to their world and try to kidnap them. And they've figured out that in kidnapping their comrades, they're recreating them into weapons that they're using against these gemstone beings. And so our main character in this one, whose shortened name is Foss, I'm not even going to try to pronounce her actual name because I'll probably get it very wrong. But her shortened name is Foss, and she is this kind of minty green gemstone here on the cover. And for some reason, the Lunarians really go after her. They're constantly looking for her because they're attracted to her color. And the only thing she wants to do is to fight these Lunarians like the rest of her comrades. But unfortunately, with the nature of her body, her gemstone is very fragile. And so fighting these Lunarians is not really something she can do. And so there's like a monk dude who is also kind of like their guardian, and he's like the best at fighting these Lunarians. And he basically tells her, look, you can't fight with the rest of your comrades. So he has her try a whole bunch of different things so that she has a purpose. And Foss has just never been into any of the things that he suggested that she try. So in this first volume, the next thing that he has her try is to become like a historian. So she needs to go around and kind of log down things. And in doing that, she kind of gets to know another one of the comrades that isn't very well known amongst the beings on her world, and that is Cinnabar. And Cinnabar is actually even more fragile than Foss, but Cinnabar is also very poisonous. So a lot of the beings don't go near Cinnabar because if they get touched by her poison, they have to literally like slough off or exfoliate that section of their body off, because it becomes, I don't know if you guys are familiar with gemstones, but inclusions, it's like the little black flecks that you see in gemstones sometimes, especially like diamonds. It kind of becomes part of their body, and there's just no way to remove that unless you like chip it off. And so that's basically why the beings avoid Cinnabar. There's also the fact that Cinnabar is basically active only at nighttime, so she's kind of like the person that's holding down the fort while everybody else is sleeping and resting and things like that. She's kind of this isolated person, and so when Foss starts coming around and asking her questions, they kind of get to know each other. And as much as Cinnabar doesn't want to form a relationship with anybody, she kind of grows attached to Foss even though she doesn't want to. And Foss, kind of being the way she is, gets on the nerves of the rest of her comrades because she's basically useless, because she's so fragile. And so there are things that happen in this volume that kind of solidify Foss's relationship with Cinnabar as well as her comrades. And I did enjoy this volume. That being said, I definitely had an issue because the format is black and white. And with gemstones, there's a lot of color, especially with this character here named Diamond. You can see she's very rainbow-esque, and you don't get that in the format that this volume gives you. I did watch the anime of this a couple years ago, and that was because my daughter tried to read this volume back then and had an issue determining the characters from each other because of the way that they're drawn. Pretty much these characters from the neck down are all the same. There's no difference in their uniforms. Their bodies all look the same. The only thing that's different are their facial features and their hairstyles. And obviously in the anime, the things that are different are also the color of their hair. So I definitely had an issue trying to figure out who was who just based on the facial features and the hairstyle while I was reading this manga. I would say this manga probably took me twice as long to read than a normal volume would, just because I was analyzing the panels so much. Even though I know a lot of what's going to happen in this story, I'm interested to see how that plays out in the manga, but I'm very concerned with how confused I was trying to decipher each character from each other while I was reading this. So while this is a story that I'm interested in and I will be continuing it, there's a bit of hesitation for me because I had such an issue trying to figure out who was who. I definitely think this one is better for me in its animated form. That being said, there hasn't been any more animation of it. And so I'll have to continue reading this story if I want to know what else happens in this story, because if I remember correctly, there is a bit of a bombshell moment that happens in here. Something surprising. And I'd like to know about that and a bunch of other things as well. So that pretty much sums up my thoughts on this one. I'll definitely be continuing both of these series, and I did enjoy what I read of them. So let me know if you've read either of these volumes down in the comments below and what you thought of them. Please, no spoilers past the first volume, but I'd definitely be interested in hearing your thoughts on the things that happened in these volumes down in the comments below. If you would like to read August selections along with me, those selections will be volume 1 of The Demon Prince of Momochi House by Aya Shoto. This one is published by Viz, rated teen. And then we will also be reading volume 1 of Ragna Crimson by Daiki Kobayashi. This one is published by Square Enix Manga, rated older teen. So these will be the selections for the month of August. I hope you will read along with me and let me know what you think of these volumes. I will be posting another one of these manga first impressions videos after the 19th of August, because that is when our manga club meets next. And so yeah, I hope you will join me in reading these 2 volumes in August. But definitely let me know what your thoughts were on these volumes down in the comments below. If you have made it to this point of the video, if you would leave me a snake emoji or the word snake down in the comments below, that would be greatly appreciated and would really help me out. So I hope you will join me for August selections, and that will do it for me today. So I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy, and until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.